chat soon. Canadian Cam's here with us, the original Terrace Cameron.
Not the
Right.
BTEC one, not the BTEC one.
Right. Going on years now. I forgot how long. Speaking British by this point. Anyway, my takeaways from the game, because I saw I didn't see the full first half, but I saw the second half, and I saw parts of the big parts of the first half. I think what people have been harping on, and I've heard a bunch of you say it, is kind of this whole notion of a style of play. Like, it's not sustainable winning games the way we played against Burnley. I think anybody with a brain knows that. But I think one of my biggest takeaways is Scott McTominay should never play for United again after watching this game. Ever. We have the options now. Like, Hannibal has proven he can play in the role. Like, he didn't have the best game today, but he was solid. He was better than I've seen Scott since the halfway goal. Like, straight up. Like, that's the last game. I think he was on for 5 minutes in that game. And that's the last great moment I can remember from Scott McTominay. So when you start thinking about what Ten Hag's been up against, and something I think, you always say it, like, he's been overachieving. I don't care what anybody says. When you look at the players he's had to put out there and who he's had to trust, and people are like, well, he's putting Scott out there. Well, yeah, Hannibal is only 20 years old. So maybe he didn't fully trust him yet. Mainu's 18, but we've seen enough from him to know that he'll probably be able to step into that role. And now, most importantly, is Amrabat, who Mo has been telling anybody who watches the Terrace for the last 2 months or whatever, if we get this guy, we are going to see a complete difference in our midfield. And to plagiarize Rachel, we finally have an actual central midfielder in there. Like, we've tried to shoehorn Christian Eriksen in there. We've tried, with the Mounts. All these guys they're more attacking mids. It's not what they do. They're not the recyclers of the ball. That's not their style. They always look for the home run path. They always look to create. That's what they do. So when we put an Eriksen in there and we're like, yeah, but you got to be the main retention guy. You've got to be able to have those legs in you. Obviously, it's not going to be the case. So if you watch football, you know these things. So watching what Ten Hag did last year with the squad, for me, was an overachievement, but it was great. I'm happy about it. When I think about the fact that this inverted overrun in the midfield could happen more and more, I look at when we play a team like Crystal Palace, everyone's like, oh, there's just Crystal Palace. Well, we had our B team out there too. The fact is, we're going to play a lot of just Crystal Palaces. You don't play Arsenal every week. You don't play City every week. We need to be able to batter these teams. We need to be able to go in there and be comfortable. Like, I don't want to be on skates like I was watching Burnley, being like, I can't believe we just won this off of a wonder goal from Bruno, right? I don't want that. I want to be able to watch some games and be very happy and comfortable and chill and just know we're going to see it out. We're going to get the goals because we're going to create the opportunities. We create a ton of chances. We really do. We have been for a while. Like, if you look at the numbers, stats don't matter. Well, the chance creation is a pretty important stat that matters, which actually tells you what's going on in your team. We just have not been able to finish because when we create the chances, who's on the pitch, it's not the right players. For me today, just kind of shows what Ten Hag really probably wants to do with us and how I think he's going to move forward. Now, if on Sunday he starts Scott McTominay, I'm going to be extremely angry, and that's probably the first time you'll see me come
Scott
for him.
McTominay's not going to.
No, but it'd be
I've
not came from it all. I've been very calm. I've been the man's using what's there. Now that Amrabat's there, Mount's back. Mount looked good today. I don't think anybody can say Mount didn't look good today. I think he did what he's supposed to be doing. He had some great spots where he created. Seeing a score on a cutback was beautiful. There's just not be scored on by cutback. Seeing us actually have passages of play, it does feel like eventually we will get there. It's just one game. And one other thing that I think is extremely important to take away is, with all the negative and toxicity around the club and everybody saying there are first team members who don't agree with how he's treating Sancho and all that shit. I'm sorry, but when that shit's true, like in a locker room, when those things are actually true, you see it on the pitch. When players give up on a coach, you see it. If you ever watched this under LVG, if you ever watched this under Jose, you've seen players quit on their coach. Like, you've seen it. Those players out there did not quit on the coach. Not one of them looked like they did not, they were out there playing hard. And that is the biggest takeaway for us, because we need harmony back in our dressing room. All the reports are always going to come out. We know this. We lose one game and it's going to be the world's falling down. We're Man United. That is life. And just the results we've had. And I've been trying to tell people calm, yes, I'm not happy we lost to Arsenal, but we lost to Arsenal by inches, in my opinion. Garnacho's goal goes in, and I think that's a draw. I do think they would have probably came back and scored, but I think that's a draw. And that's inches, right? Bruno finishes that header. That's inches, right? These are small margins, which is what the game is. So yes, we lost those games, but I look back on it and you really analyze it and you're like, one thing goes the other way, and all of a sudden our season doesn't is not in dread. So I've been calm the whole time. I've been saying there's still time, and there truly is still time for us to be the team everybody is going to say, we expected this of you. You know that it's going to happen when we go.
Well, it's why I asked it yesterday on the Top 6 show, because like 1 minute the rhetoric was, "You man are done. This is how bad your manager and team are." So okay, so where do you think we'll finish? Can it be turned around? And how embarrassed would you be if we finished in front of you? And the rivals, not on the panel, but in the comments, hated that question because they never want to be held to account when it comes to Man United opinions. And I think that's right. And like a lot of people tonight, Bruno's the issue. Now, I'm telling you now, Bruno was playing tonight. We had 14 attempts on goal. I think we'd have had about between 20 and 25, maybe not as high as 25, if Bruno was out there. Because the difference between him and Hannibal would have been his ability. And listen, that's what people always ask, what's Bruno, where does he excel on the ball in football? Well, he excels in and around the 18-yard box with through balls and crosses and creating chances to a level that only KDB in the last 5 years of top flight football has been able to match. No other midfielder. And by the way, not as if our team's been great in that time, all periods. You put Bruno, listen, maybe the Rashford comments are fair, especially with hugging that touchline, spreading the play, which enables the room for the overlap. But in terms of Bruno Fernandes in that 10 tonight, I think we create even more opportunities and chances. You also would find that you're not too worried about him losing the ball when attempting these things, because he's got a team that's got that energy behind him to win it back quickly, which is what City do for KDB, who loses the ball as regularly as Bruno Fernandes does as well. On Mount, a few people have spoken about that as well. Listen, we all said, and it's one game, so we're not getting carried away, one of Mount or Kai Havertz was going to deliver for their clubs. If Mount could put in this level of performance most weeks, I'd honestly be happy with him. If he plays like this, again, we'll never talk about him as, oh my God, he's world class. But tonight he was a very good component of the team. He got the assist from the corner. Listen, if you can put good crosses in like that, be involved in our play, press well, help us keep the shape, I'm happy with Mount being at this level every game. Genuinely happy with him being at this level every game. I won't bat an eyelid and I'd say, yeah, good signing for £65 million in this era. Go on, mate.
Oh, sorry. I think there's a role for Mount in this team, and I think on that right hand side where we have a clear gap, and it's kind of like Russian roulette of who's going to play there. Even if we play with right winger, we sometimes we're playing a diamond now because of Anthony and Sancho. I think Mount on the right would be good, because then you can fit in Amrabat in the midfield, not necessarily starting him on the left. I think Sergio Reguilon has started very well his life at Man United as a left back. You have Reguilon left back. You have Mount on the right. You have Amrabat and Casemiro in the middle with Bruno in that 10 role. Rashford on the left, and potentially Rasmus Højlund up front. I think you've got a decent, solid team there. I think there's something to build off there. A team that can win games, a team that will have energy, because I think Bruno, Mount, Amrabat, and Casemiro will all work hard. I know there's an issue with Rashford right now in terms of, does he work hard enough? But I think when you've got a team that is balanced and has enough energy, you can have the one player that may not work as hard. Because Martial today, no one's complaining about his lack of pressing or his lack of getting stuck in and battling, because guess what? He had all the other team players around him doing all that hard work for him, and he could do what he's good at, which is link in play. So there is time. There is time, and there's a team there to get to what we can do with Ten Hag, which is, we know the bare minimum is top 3.
KJ, on the Rashford point, which like everybody knows I love Rashford, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna when he plays bad say, it's okay. But realistically, the one thing about Rashford, and this isn't a dig, Rashford is a confidence player. Plain and simple. He is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When things are going well, Rashford is really good. When they're not, he has off games. And I think when you're in a team, and this is where people are like, he's greedy, he's this or that. Well, people forget last year Rashford had to carry us, right? So I think in his mind, he accepted that money. He accepted that role. Rashford believes he's got to be the one to carry us through games if we're not doing well. I truly believe that's why sometimes he comes off as greedy. And it's not the right thing to do a lot of the times. But if you put him in a team where everybody you can trust around you is playing well and doing well, I do believe we'll see a very big difference in the types of games we get from him, because on him
tonight. I think everyone going in on Bruno and Rashford again. It's just people trying to put a negative spin on a good performance from United. Staffy, I wanted to ask you about Mount. I know you kind of touched on him. I know you and I share a similar opinion that we just weren't sure about this signing. Is what you saw from him tonight enough if he puts in a performance like that in most games, or do you still want considerably more from him, or is it just about consistency at this level?
No, he did well. I didn't really speak about him a lot because I wanted to focus more on Amrabat and Casemiro, and obviously not hog the mic too much for everyone to talk, and maybe them touch on Mount. I think he had a very good game. And here's the thing with Mount, Terry, I didn't want the signing, and I think I was maybe more vocal than you about that. But ever since we signed him, that I stopped giving him criticism. Even when we were losing, I was like, well, I'm not going to criticize him because I don't think the manager is using him right. So I laid off Mount, to be fair. I don't have to keep, tweeting about him every day and say, no, Mount didn't do anything wrong like a lot of other people did. But I just laid off until I see, okay, how is he going to look later when certain issues behind him are going to get fixed? And today I saw that when he has two competent midfielders behind him, he looked much better. And which is why I'm happy that I waited a little bit more than to just call him out after every game saying, see, I told you it's not going to work, because today proved, yes, it could work. Now, KJ was talking about him starting on the right. The question is right now to me is who's going to be the midfield moving forward. And I think the answer is also there for me. I don't think we have one starting midfield. I think we have proven that we have a selection of players that are very diverse, and a lot of them could play together based on the combination that we're trying to put on the day. So today, I think Mount complements what we did today because he was making up for that. Let's be honest, none of our left wingers are really hard working off the ball. Like Garnacho's not that, Rashford is not that. Mount staying on that left-hand side kind of makes up for that. And he's very good at dropping, interchanging with Amrabat. And I've seen it a few times today where Amrabat moves a little bit higher and then Mount drops in, picks up the ball. He even did it in the goal. He dropped deep, picked up the ball, did the switch. Amrabat was doing the same switch, but he also did it, and we got the goal from it. So it showed me that there's something going on over there. And even if Rashford, by the way, would have played today, there's not a lot that Garnacho is better than Rashford. I'll tell you that. So anyone who thinks that we only won today because Rashford wasn't there, trust me, if you don't like Rashford, then there's no reason to like Garnacho, because Rashford is way better than Garnacho. At least Rashford can hit a ball. So to me, Mount. One second. I was just gonna say. So to me today, Mount proved that he's not gonna be our main player in the midfield, which was my main concern. But he definitely has a role. If you put the right selection of the on the day of players, and it depends on who we're playing, because I don't think he can play 90 minutes every game. When we're playing oppositions like this, and we keep more of the ball, and you need him for a lot of off-ball work as well, I think he's the man for it. Losing Anthony kind of cost us a lot of work rate in that midfield, or in that just top half of the field anyways. Today, with Mount there, we saw that a little bit of that being returned, all the press and all that. So I think he's important for the team. I don't think he's going to be the main man in the midfield, but if he performs the way he was doing today, he definitely has a role in this team.
And you know what else it is, as far as Mount goes, I think a lot of people like to say, oh, I trust the manager, I back the manager and these things, until the manager does something that they don't understand. So for me personally, I think criticism is fair. I think having questions, having concerns is fair. I've had my fair share of questions and concerns about Mount, about the manager's tactics at times, about the starting 11 that he's used and how he's managed certain games. But like I said, trusting in the manager is trusting in the fact to say, I don't quite understand why you signed Mount. I don't know where your vision is for him, but I trust you to give you enough time to let's just see where the vision goes. And then we can determine how we feel about it later. Now, do I have my questions about Mount? Absolutely. Do I think that he's the right fit in all games? I'm not sure. But if the manager's saying that this is his guy, this is the 65 million signing that he wants, if you really trust in what the manager's trying to build, and if you really back the manager, you got to give him enough time to at least let his plan play out before you judge it.
55 million, by the way. Don't add that extra 10. Rivals will use that.
Yeah. For right now.